Hey, you guys, welcome back to another one of our Monday podcasts. Stoked to do this one with our friend Ron. Ron, we shot with a while back in his Evo rally, call it street car. That's
Stats maxed street car.
Super fun. Yeah. That was a really fun shoot. And Ron, through the years, has done a lot of different things. We will talk about his life at Hoonigan, but I think before we get to Hoonigan, because I'm sure probably a lot of people think that's all you've ever done in your life, but there's life prior to that.
For sure.
Had you been doing media stuff prior to Hoonigan?
Yeah, very shortly. I always knew I wanted to work in cars, right? And I went to school for journalism, PR, whatever. And I remember we took a field trip to like a public relations office in New York City because I was going to school on the East Coast in Jersey. And we're walking through this like cubicle farm, and there was this dude with like this really sad apple in front of him on like a napkin. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't enter this world. Like whatever it pays, like I can't enter that. So I started going to magazine stands at Barnes & Noble and opening up every single one, Car and Driver, Super Street, whatever, and looking where each one was based. And this is around 2008.
Okay.
2008, 2009. And I see one magazine, it's like, oh, dude, these guys are based in New York City. Like everybody else is either Florida, LA, Michigan, like, damn, I'd have to relocate. These guys are right here on the East Coast. So I sent him an email, 0 to 60 magazine, it was called. And there's this like 6'8" dude named Brian Scotto. He's leaning on a car, and I'm like, all right, yeah, it seems like this is kind of like
these are my people.
These are my kind of people, talking about project cars, how whatever. And I sent an email. I went. I interviewed. I was thinking like, man, okay, automotive journalism. Like, I got a list. Have I been to any driving schools? Like, have I done any races? Have I done any whatever? Bro, I show up, and Scotto and this other dude, Matt Tassillo, during the interview, they're just talking to each other about like the oven in their new apartment and making turducken and talking about like donks and whatever. And I'm like, does this mean like I'm not getting the job or whatever? Right? Like, nah, you're cool. Yeah, show up tomorrow. We can't pay you, but whatever. And so I did an unpaid internship at 0 to 60 magazine. I entered the car world. I felt like I snuck in, dude. I was like, I am not credentialed for this at all. Like, I was bartending to make ends meet and, taking the train up to New York City every day for no pay. And I did know how to write, and I loved cars. Like, that's it. Those were my two things that I had.
Yeah.
And that passion just kind of helped me carry through. Like, I had a little bit of like background in BMX and all that. And like, those guys did too. So we connected on a couple things. But really at the end of the day, like I was just a half decent writer and cared about cars. And they felt that vibe. And they were like, all right, yeah, intern. So I interned for, I want to say 6 months, graduated. And then I got brought on. I got paid.
That was the big day.
That was the big day. They were like, we can pay you $25K a year. Damn. And I was like, yes, yes, dude, I'm getting paid.
Dad, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah, it didn't matter, dude.
Sure.
How old were you at the time?
I was just out of college, so I was 20, 21, something like that. Yeah, and it was crazy. I had this like really terrible apartment in Jersey, basement apartment, would flood all the time. But we would get press cars. So I would show up to this like garbage apartment with like the brand new, not yet released Corvette ZR1.
That's hilarious.
And then the next day, Ferrari California.
That's crazy.
And then like an Ariel Atom. So everybody's like, all my neighbors are like, bro, this guy's a drug dealer. There's no other.
Drug dealer or mismanaging your money. Dude. Like
that too. Yeah. This man is leveraged. Yeah. And that was my entrance into the car world. It was nuts.
Wow, how cool, man.
Yeah.
And how long were you there for?
It was short.
Yeah.
I was at 0 to 60 for about just under 2 years. Yeah. And
Gotcha.
That was the one thing that got me into the Ken world because, automotive media at the time, like car magazines, they had their golden era, they had their time, and I kind of got in on the tail end of that. So we were still getting to do press trips. We were getting a bunch of cars, but we weren't Car and Driver. We were still small time. So they were trying to enter the internet age by doing blogs. And I remember one of the stories that I did was these weird Japanese Porsche tuners that were putting these super wide body kits on. I found a post on Facebook, all Japanese. I had to translate it with Google Translate. And I was like, what is it? Raw welt? What does that
Oh
even
my God.
Oh, man.
And so we did a story about these crazy wide body
On
Japanese
RWB.
cars on RWB. We had no idea what it was.
Wow, man.
And the next thing you know, they get in touch with us and they're like, hey, like, this is really cool that somebody in the States is talking about us. Do you guys want to come out? So we sent 2 of our guys from the magazine, Alex Bernstein, Tony Harmer, and they went and shot a magazine feature, like one of the very first pieces of media on Raw Well ever in 2010, something like that.
Wow, how cool,
Yeah.
man.
But it was a car magazine that came out quarterly, and like advertising was starting to move other places. The internet was starting to take off. This crazy thing called YouTube was starting to get some attention.
Yeah, I mean, at
whatever.
that point, YouTube's like 4 years old,
Yeah,
5 years
barely.
old.
Yep.
It's still
Yep.
almost like a dating site in a way.
Which and we'll
No,
go back
but I
to
mean,
this.
really, like it's so new at that time.
It's brand new. It's
Yeah.
brand new. And there's a funny story about like the newness of YouTube around that time too. So actually, I'll go into it right now.
Yeah.
So in parallel with that, Brian Scotto, the editor-in-chief of 0 to 60, like we clicked immediately. Like,
Yeah.
same type of stuff, same type of interests, like whatever. He knew Ken Block really well. Like they had done the Gumball Rally together a couple years prior. And Scotto was kind of his car Sherpa in a way. Ken was an action sports dude. He knew he loved rally. He knew he loved that world, but he didn't really know like, he couldn't point out a turbo from an alternator at the time.
Wow, that's
because
crazy.
he had just come from a completely different world. And Scotto
Sure.
was the guy that like, he might have recognized the turbo, but you know what I mean? Like he
I get
didn't
it.
know like
Yes.
all the displacements of every single car and every
Right,
spec.
right.
And Scotto was the guy that like he's like, hey dude, like, yeah, if you want to dive into this world, like let's do it. Like I think it's prime for someone like you. And they did a video called Gymkhana Practice. Wow. The very first Gymkhana.
Crazy, man.
Practice.
If you watch that now, if you go back, the intro to that video says, as seen in 0 to 60 magazine.
There's video on YouTube of Gymkhana practice.
Gymkhana Practice is technically Gymkhana 1.
Okay.
The black Subaru with the blue stripe and the
Yeah.
monster logo,
Yeah.
the very first one at El Toro. That one says, as seen in 0 to 60 magazine, because it started as a magazine feature.
Wow.
So Ken had this car. He wanted to do a video with it. He wanted to do like a skate style video with the car. And he puts it together with a couple of his buddies. And they film it. He puts it up on his website, kenblockracing.com. Wow. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of a cool video. Like, yeah, let's put it up on the site. Let's get some people going, see if anybody's interested. About a month goes by and he gets a bill in the mail that's like 15 grand from his internet service provider.
Oh shit.
Oh my God.
Because it's getting hit so hard.
They're like, I don't know what happened, but your website has gotten like 15 million people on it in the last month. And he's like, what?
Wow.
How does that cost that much? They're like, yeah, they're watching hours of video
Wow.
and we have to pay for that server space. And so he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want to pay 15 grand a month to host a video.
For sure.
And somebody, it might have been Brian, it might have been someone else in a circle. They're like, hey, there's this thing called YouTube. I don't know if you heard of it. He's like, what? That sounds weird. And they're like, yeah, but it's free. Like you could put videos up there for free. And then he's like, all right, what's the worst that can happen? And yeah, Gymkhana Practice. As it sits today, it's still up on YouTube. You can go watch it. And all the views
crazy.
there are like minus.
How many views does it have?
I don't know. I want to say that one's only around 30, 40 million, something like that.
Only.
Yeah.
Only.
Compared to the other ones later on, that
No,
one.
I get it.
But
Yeah.
so in parallel, all that stuff was kind of happening, and Ken's like, yeah, I think I want to get into this racing thing, and went from being just a gentleman racer to getting sponsored by Ford. I was like, yo, Scotto, I need a team. I need people. I want to do this. I want to do it right. I want to have people from the car world like entering this and doing this. So Scotto leaves the magazine. I'm still there for like a couple months. And like, yeah, a couple months in, Scott was like, dude, this guy's gnarly. Like, it's sick. Like, what he's doing is unbelievable, but it is relentless work every day, hours a day. He's like, I need help.
Yeah.
Do you want to come on as my assistant? And I was like, I mean, I don't want to be an assistant. Like, I'm a writer. You know? Like,
I went to school for this.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, exactly. I get paid now. It's 27 grand a year. It's sick. So, but then I'm like, yeah, but like, man, Ken's really cool. I had followed, the beginning of his rally career. I had loved rally my entire life.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I want to get in the rally world. Like, I want to just live that. So whatever, let's try it. Let's try it out. So for a span of like 2 months, I would work all day at the magazine. So I would wake up at like 5:30, 6 a.m., something like that, take the train into New York City, work till 5 p.m. or so, then take the subway to Greenpoint, Brooklyn, to Scotto's apartment to work till about midnight on Ken stuff.
Wow.
And I did about a month of that.
Oh shit! So you guys are doing it out there, not even out here yet.
It was all East Coast.
Wow.
It was
okay.
all East Coast.
Was Ken back there as well at the time?
No, Ken was in San Diego.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Ken was San Diego. That's where Rancho Santa Fe. That's where they lived for a while because it was close to the DC
Is it called
offices.
Hoonigan at this point, or is it just Ken Block
Doesn't even
Racing?
exist.
Wow,
Yeah,
dude.
it's just Ken's
Wild.
program.
God, so you're there really from the beginning.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Man.
That's a perfect segue because right around that time, I think we had gotten a year under our belt of like traveling everywhere with Ken, doing every rally, doing whatever. My job was to write blog posts. I hammered out blog posts, and that's why I picked up a camera, because instead of waiting for guys that would take, 2 days to get me photos, I'd be like, look, it's not going to be as good of a photo, but we want to get this. Well, Ken wants to get this out like now.
Yeah.
Like, immediately.
Yeah.
Like the second he gets off a stage, that story should be up instead of like a day later. At the time, that was kind of wild, like you wouldn't get your race results until the next day or something like that.
Sure.
So, I picked up a camera, started shooting. We were traveling everywhere. I was doing, the World Rally Championship, like Cloud9, whatever. And still working out of this office. About a year in, I left the magazine and I just went full-time Ken. I was like, this is sick. Like, unreal. I'm getting ground to a pulp with work. And I haven't been happier. Like, I'm learning so much. Like, I get to see World Rally cars. My first ever event was Turkey.
Wow.
We flew out to Turkey. There's a funny story somewhere in there too. I gotta stay focused because there's just so many.
Honestly,
staying on
Ron,
track, though.
I
Sounds
can't.
good.
Yeah, you're doing really
I
good
can't
right now.
imagine how many there are though. Yeah.
So, and then about a year in, like, I didn't know this, but Ken and Brian had started having these conversations. Ken, like, looking so far ahead at the time, he was like, yo, motorsports is kind of boring. Like, how are there no brands that speak to young car people? And at the time, kids that were into skate, into BMX, whatever, they were getting driver's licenses. They were starting to tune cars as well.
Yep.
And you have this like new era of car person that's like young. They got a different attitude. They got a different viewpoint on things. And there didn't exist a brand that spoke to them.
Yep.
And so him and Brian started talking to each other, and I think Brian came up with the word because Australia, Hoon, is somebody that drives really aggressively, and Ken was an aggressive driver. So they're like, all right, what's a person that hoons? A Hoonigan. And I remember in the office, like, Scott was on the phone, he's talking, he's got this Word doc up, and he puts up a bracket, types out Hoonigan.
Come on,
and
dude.
another bracket.
And that's the fucking logo.
That was the logo.
Unbelievable.
Before it was the stencil for like the first Gymkhana 3. If
It's
you watch,
so simple, so perfect.
dude, and that was the thing. Like, we did the brackets because you wanted something that was a recognizable logo on a Word doc or an email.
Yep.
Like, without attaching a picture or anything, you want that recognizable
That's
thing.
so crazy.
And Hoonigan was
I
born.
love that, dude.
God, I love the. I mean, the greatest things are always simple, they really are. Like, you look into music sometime, and some of the greatest music is 3 chords,
That's exactly it.
It's so cool. And especially obviously Ken had a pretty significant marketing background given what he did with fucking DC shoes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But to be at this time where, like, magazines are they're not dead yet, but they're
on. There's a weird like the internet hasn't really taken off for marketing,
right?
But magazines are on the way down, and you have this weird like blogosphere, like people are, you know, is it Vimeo, is it YouTube, is it video hosted on my own website?
Yeah.
There's like this kind of like mix of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Now, at that moment when you saw it being typed out and name and everything, did you know that it was going to be as big as it was now? Did you have any idea?
I not as big as it is now. I had no idea it would take it this far, but I had so much faith and respect for those two dudes, for Ken and Brian.
Yeah.
That I was like, yeah, man, whatever these guys make, like it's gonna take off, right? Like this dude does not mess around.
Yeah.
And I had just that blind faith in whatever they wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
And I was their demo. I loved cars. I had an action sports background. Like I didn't want just like plain racing stripes. I wanted big graffiti style graphics. And like, I wanted more attitude.
Yeah.
And I wanted that on a shirt. And I wanted to represent that. That was me.
Yeah. You're not going to wear the old timer stuff. You're not, you're like the generation that hasn't been, like you said, that hasn't been spoken to yet by the automotive community.
Exactly.
You guys definitely set that tone, that industrial graffiti, the cool. Like,
I appreciate that. Yeah. And so much of that comes from Scotto's like punk background. He would always go to punk shows and like that was his whole like attitude, you know, the stencil logo, all that. That was his thing. But yeah, that was kind of early beginnings of Hoonigan. And I worked with Ken directly for a much longer time. Scotto moved out here in 2011, I want to say. No, 2012, somewhere around there. Hoonigan as a brand officially launched at SEMA in 2011. Still have the launch shirt. It was like 11/1/11, you know. We threw a big ass party in a hotel room. It was I forget which hotel. It might have been the Palms, but it was the bowling alley suite. Terrible idea.
Remember when you said it's
not a good idea with you guys.
This is the one we're gonna skip over.
And at the time, I was just like, yeah, these are just like this is what happens when you know our friends show up. Like things are gonna get smashed. It's gonna get a little loose. But I didn't know at the time, like. That was all orchestrated because we wanted to make a statement. Like we're showing up to SEMA. We're not showing up in performance polos.
Yeah.
Like we're showing up in t-shirts and ripped jeans and Vans.
Yep.
And like
rock stars.
We're gonna mess some stuff up.
Yeah, and you're showing up in a world that's that there's a way you're supposed to. There's a lot of rules. Yeah. There's a lot of rules to it.
For sure.
Like Kyle even jokes about it nowadays about the wankers with their, make sure you're there by 10 a.m. for that. we're doing a big unveil at 10 a.m. You know, like so I can only imagine back then you guys with this kind of punk rock rally attitude coming. I mean, holy hell, dude! It just must have blown people's minds.
It was. It's funny because it seemed so hard at the time. It seemed like so much work.
Yeah,
and so much effort. But I look back now, and it was like. Man, it was so easy. We were the only game around.
Yeah.
Whatever we did. Dude, we would go out. We would go out to a rally, and before most rallies, you do testing, right?
Yeah.
Which is you do a whole day on similar conditions, whether it's snow, whether it's gravel, whether it's hot, cold, whatever. You do a full day of testing, and that's when we would get so much of our media. And I would go out, I would be armed with like 6 GoPro Hero 2s. Brand new technology at the time. Brand new. Oh, dude.
The Hero 2.
There's a screen on the front. Yeah. I would go out with 5 of those. I would walk up and down the stage. I would do drop cams everywhere. I had Canon, I think it was the 5D at the time.
Oh, the Mark II, I think, or Mark 1?
OG 5D.
Oh, just the Mark?
Because
sorry. Beacon out right
now. I'm old, dog. I try to keep a youthful appearance. I'm pretty old. The 5D was a game changer for us because it's like, bro, this camera can shoot stills and video.
Yeah.
Whoa. All right, one-man band. I got a bag of GoPros. I got a camera that shoots photo and video. Sick. Let's go. And I would go out on a stage, drop cam. One pass would be photo. Second pass will be video. Get the blog post up. Put a YouTube video up. YouTube video, a simple testing YouTube video. Terrible editing.
Yeah.
I learned editing from like a 10-year-old on YouTube in 2010. because I didn't know how any of the hotkeys worked or
Wow.
anything in hotel rooms. And we would put out a video and it would get 1 million views.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Doesn't
we
need
have
to be perfect, bro. You're not making a movie.
That's
It's just a YouTube video.
That's exactly it. And we would knock out these videos, and I'm like, that was the standard that we set for ourselves, which just ruined my life the entire everything after. Because I'm like, okay, if I put out like a pretty whatever video, like technicality and quality wise and everything, and that's 1 million views. Well, if I try a little harder, that's got to be 5, right? And as time went on, everybody's taking a look. Everybody's like, oh, I could do some automotive stuff too. And all of a sudden you get all these other creators. They're making stuff. They're making way better stuff. They're making really good things. And there's more noise and there's more people making stuff, and it gets harder to break through.
Sure.
But those early days, man, yeah, that was fun. Like whatever we put out, it was, nobody else was really filming cars in that way, in this like handheld Rogue style. Everything had to be this big production, whatever. And we're like, nah, bro, just go in the woods. Just like film it like you're hanging out with some friends.
Yep.
That's it.
And then it
You
makes it
guys
super easy for you guys to just replicate that all the time. It doesn't have to be crazy quality.
Because we would always joke, like, none of us were actors. Like, we are not actors. What you see on camera is like, that's us.
I love when you guys would have awkward handshakes or awkward interactions, and then you guys would like point them out. You would do the little shoot sound, the cross.
That's right.
Yeah, and then
the hit marker.
point it out. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, because it's
Keep
like,
it real.
Whatever. Like, we're not professionals. We're nowhere close.
Yeah.
Like, we just want to give you what's real, what we kind of live, and that worked. It was crazy.
It's funny to think that you guys are just doing what's natural to you, where your instincts pulling you to do,
Yeah.
and it created what became the format for YouTube.
In a way, yeah.
A lot of people all of a sudden handhold. I mean, I remember when we first started our channel, which we've changed considerably since then, but I remember the guy that got us to start doing YouTube, a guy named Smurf and WRX was his channel.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Mike Wynn.
I never met him, but I remember that channel.
That channel.
I
Yeah.
had a WRX at the time, so I was like,
I remember seeing that too.
One at the time, Mike had a really big. When we got started with this 8 years ago, he had a really big channel. And at the time, he told me, he said, "You make sure anytime you're on camera, you're the one holding the camera."
for sure.
Which I absolutely hated because
Oh, dude, yeah.
I'm old, right? So I grew up in a much more slick,
What do you mean? I
cinematic,
show up,
beautiful.
there's a shooter, there's a producer, there's like I have not a script, but like I'm gonna say
I just
my
wanted
thing.
slicker, cooler looking content.
Dateline, bro. Dateline.
Which we've definitely.
Hi
Hey,
guys,
man.
I'm Sean Davis.
I
and
love
today I'm going
Dateline.
to report to you.
I love Dateline. Dateline's my favorite show. But we've gone obviously to this point now where our interviews sometimes are gimbaled. Typically, it's slicker, but it's not slick like old television. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I mean, all I mean is that you guys really created what everybody all of a sudden started to emulate, and I love that it wasn't like you sat around in board meetings having conversations about it. It was like you just said, fuck, I got a bag of GoPro Hero 2s and I got a camera that'll shoot video and stills. Let's go.
Our meetings were at breakfast in the hotel. Like, all right, what are we putting together?
So
Ken would
cool.
always have me do like, he's like, just give me a brief, 1 page, give me the goals, give me a couple shots and an idea, and like I'll red marker the entire thing, and then we'll go out and we'll shoot.
Wow.
And that's how to this day, anything we create, anything I make is a 1-page Word doc. Because if you can't fit your idea into 1 page,
Too much, huh?
probably sucks. It doesn't suck, but it's like it's an elevator pitch, but for video.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow, so you really got to see the evolution from magazine, Facebook, YouTube, all that, MySpace.
Dude, it was so crazy to watch each platform, how it came up, what happened to it. Like, magazines turning into Facebook. Like, Facebook was king. 2010 to 2012-ish.
Yeah.
Facebook was where we put everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing 5 posts a day.
Wow.
Some photo. They didn't even have video capability at the time yet. And then Facebook video came out. And then I remember when Instagram came out. I want to say it was like what the hipsters would like put all their like filtered photos on.
Yeah.
Take a picture of, like a cute looking salad on a table. that was the perception of Instagram. And I remember we were in a rental car and Scotto was pitching Instagram to Ken, and Ken's like, "What? Isn't that like Pinterest? Like picture Pinterest? I'm not getting on that. Like, what are you talking about?" And then we would just push and push and push. And then 2012 we got on Instagram, and the second Ken saw the competitive nature of it, we would be in the car. So many of our stories are just like traveling, in between places. We'd be in the rental, and it's like, all right, who got the best photo from that test? All right, who could get Explore page? Because back then, getting on Explore page was rough. So crazy. Yeah, it was so easy. Because comparatively, there's 1% of Instagram use, and Ken would always get Explore page, and of course, his page started blowing up because he would get the best photo, and he gamified it, and then he's like, "Oh, it's on!" And then he just went full hardcore Instagram.
Wow.
And then YouTube. That was another interesting one because Hoonigan was at that time kind of Ken's outlet, right, for his things. It wasn't doing a whole lot of other things. And they were trying to make a lifestyle brand out of it and everything. And at the beginning, it was Scotto, Hurt, this guy, Lindsey Ross, who works for Von Gittin Jr. now, and just a few other people. And they were like, you know what? We're out here in LA. We're doing all this stuff. Like, people with cool cars show up here all the time. Like, we might as well start shooting them. And so they started shooting, just like a friend would come by. Hey, man, sick car, rip burnout. He would do it. They're like, all right, we want to put this on YouTube. This is kind of rad. It's a cool situation. But Ken was like, yeah, but it just can't interfere with anything that we're putting up for, the Ken program. Because big sponsorship dollars, like big effort, big budgets. Yeah. And so Scotto was like, all right, I'm going to make a thing called Midnight Squad. And they started uploading Hoonigan videos at midnight to not get in the way of anything else Ken was doing. Wow. Midnight Cali time. So for the first year or so or more, all Hoonigan uploads would always go up at midnight.
Wow.
And I'll never forget, we got this YouTube consultant at one point, just trying different stuff. You're always trying to evolve and do whatever. And we're like, can you do a channel audit, an audience audit, help us out on a bunch of things, whatever. Just curious to see what he would say. And he was like, honestly, you don't even have to pay me. I got one thing to tell you, bro, stop uploading at midnight.
Yeah.
It's everything will change.
Sure.
The second you start uploading at normal human being hours, you're gonna, you're gonna do well. We're like, oh, okay. And so we even made a shirt that was like RIP Midnight Squad. Cause you have a little core community of people that are like, every midnight I'm there for you guys, man. I'm done with my shift. I'm getting ready for school, whatever. I'm gonna watch Hoonigan at midnight. And next thing you know, we start posting at regular hours and stuff starts taking off.
Just blew up. I mean, it's crazy how massive I got to imagine it's got to be difficult for you at this point, having been there from the formation of it, and then to see what's happened to it in more recent times, the selling to Wheel Pros and the whole change of the it's got, I don't know. I would think it would hurt to, having been there from the get-go, it's got to be tough to watch, even though you've moved on to a whole other life now. I know that.
Yeah. There's no hiding it. The pain is real.
Yeah.
And I want to say that, all the other guys would say similar. The worst part is that we don't get to hang out with each other anymore.
Right.
You don't ever realize what you have. What you guys have here right now, the four of you sitting here doing podcasts, the sick ass garage. It's not going to last forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'll look back someday and be like, damn, that was sick. I went in every day. You have your differences. You have your stressful points. You have, bad days and good days, but enjoy this. This is sick.
For sure.
And it's not going to last forever. And I would say that's what I miss most is hanging out with the homies, having one main goal that we were working towards, make the best content we can. And that's what we work towards every day.
Yeah.
And private equity, everybody wants to boogeyman it and everything. And it's not like private equity is, it's not like they're trying to be evil. It's not like there's a dude sitting in this, like kind of room being like, I'm going to ruin this.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
I'm going to burn that. Sometimes there are.
Right.
There's some people that buy companies out of spite and burn them down.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's really not. But in this case, it's one of those things where a brand like Hoonigan is so anti-business, right? Because private equity, like, they have shareholders. They have people that need to make cash.
Right.
And to guarantee that those shareholders make cash, you have to have a frictionless way of making money, right? Hoonigan we made our living off of friction. Like, everything we did was the hard way. Everything we did was put a bunch of money towards something and maybe it'll work.
Yeah.
The Burnyard shows, Daily Transmission, shows that we would do abroad. Like, there was strategy behind it, but it's what we were doing and what made it great was not the same kind of business plan that, works in large businesses like
Sure.
that.
Yeah, you did it because it was cool.
That's exactly it. And
it's similar to watching like I liken it to Top Gear was amazing.
Yeah.
The three main guys. It was just amazing. And then when the punch happened, the show ends, they move over to do something else. And how many times they tried before they finally called it quits to replicate that team. You can't replicate magic. It happens.
Yeah.
It's what you guys started. I mean, I know there's a lot of thought into it. There's a lot of work into it, but there's a lot of you got lucky. You got the right guys to come together at the right time, all that stuff.
We say that all the time. We were like the Car World boy band, like, put together. Because how do you get this world where, like, you have Hurt, the drift guy, you have Vinny, the Euro car guy, you have Zach, the muscle car guy, you got Ron, the rally dude, and you got Scotto, the Audi / super bizarre, like Jay Leno level, like tank car obsession kind of guy.
Yeah.
That was not curated. That was just Zach showed up one day and was like with Mike Tornabene and was just like, oh, wow. Yeah, this feels like home already. These are a bunch of degenerates. Like, I'm just going to start hanging out. Maybe I could get a job. And and that whole team assembled like that. You know, it was like, we never sought out. We're like, okay, we need this, part of the automotive world. We need this guy, this guy, this guy. It just happened.
Yeah. You can't
force that.
You just can't, man. That's where, in my opinion, private equity fails, is because they try to nail it down to a number, to an algorithm, so to speak, right? And you're not going to. I mean, I know it better from the music side, because that was my whole life, was music.
Right.
And you don't like sit around in a boardroom and create the Beatles. You just don't. You don't sit around in a boardroom and create Kiss or Led Zeppelin or any of these bands that change the entire fucking planet. It happens, and when it's done, man.
Lightning in a bottle.
Done. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what you guys, were. And it's so, all right. So you go through, God, there's so much. I swear to God, we could go on for 10 hours with a podcast with you.
Also.
Yeah. But turducken. Yeah.
I know what turducken is. I lived in the South for a while, man.
Right.
Do you know what that is?
I don't think so.
No?
Is it a duck shoved inside of a turkey?
And bacon's involved too.
Okay.
And chicken. You take the duck, stuff it inside of a chicken inside of the duck inside of the turkey, cook it all.
Depending on size. And wrap the whole thing in bacon. And it's this just abomination of a meal. That's really good.
Terrible.
It's really
good.
Yeah.
It's some of the best food you've ever had.
Depending on who makes it, but
you could seriously shit the bed on that one too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's skill involved. That's not like Michelin star stuff. There's some skill involved.
Yeah,
for
totally.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought we were talking about the country when he said there's the. Remember?
No,
I did talk about turkey as well.
That's what I'm saying. When I
but
said
he
I want to
also
talk about turkey.
But early on, he mentioned turducken, and I knew nobody caught it except for me.
Yeah, nice.
I knew I'd be the only one where I was like, I know what the fuck he's talking about.
Okay, right now I was
Yeah.
thinking like, Sean, we got the wrong turkey going. Like,
No,
We're covering all our turkey bases.
No.
okay.
So all right, dude. So you're going. How many years was it from the time you guys actually put it up brackets Hoonigan?
Yep.
Until you
Until it
left.
sold.
Yeah.
That was 13 years.
Wow, man.
12,
My gosh.
12, 13 years, something like that.
So you're there for every one of the, are you on site for each one of the Gymkhana shoots?
Every Gymkhana starting at 3.
Wow.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and this was the incredible thing about Ken. Ken was obviously a force of nature, right?
Yeah.
And like you go in a room and that dude just had presence. Like you sit down in a meeting in the DC days when cell phones first started getting really big, he would sit down at the table and be like, all right, everybody, middle of the table. Like, we're doing a meeting. Like, I don't want this meeting to last forever. Like, let's get our shit done. And the meeting's over, grab your phone and go.
Yeah.
And it was very similar. But on the flip side of that, I was this like young kid, barely any experience, whatever. And he was planning Gymkhana 3, the one in France with the big like banked corners. Dude, I'm a like 21-year-old like shithead, you know, what do I know about marketing or cars or whatever? And I sat at that table and I got up the courage to say an idea. And Ken's like, wow, yeah, that's dope. All right, let's do that. Anyway, so let's do, and I was like,
What? I got one in. Whoa, what? I'll bet.
And from that point, like, dude, I just got goosebumps thinking about that moment. I haven't thought about it in a while, but like, he would listen to anybody. It didn't matter if you were an accountant, if you were serving lunch, if you were like the greatest marketer on the planet. If you had a good idea and he felt that it fit that situation, he would listen to you.
Yeah.
And he would take that and treat it as gold. And from Gymkhana 3 up until the very last one we did together, it was always that vibe.
Wow.
And if your idea sucked, bro, he would tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, he pulled no punches.
Yeah.
What did you suggest to him? What was your-
Especially, oh man, in Gymkhana 3, I think it was just like a forward moving 360. Because at the time, like, I think I had seen maybe one person. There was an old school rally guy named Jean Reganati who had this Renault. And he would do these like really fast front moving 360s during demos. And it looked super violent. I was like, man, it'd be so cool to do a throwback to that. And I think it was something like that we threw together. And that's
Yeah.
we had forward moving 360s.
That's nice.
You remember any other ideas you pitched for any of the
Oh,
Gymkhanas?
later on, I mean, you know, after Gymkhana, I would say 5, we really started getting involved. Because by that time I had moved out to Utah. We had started becoming really close. Like, you know, outside of work too. We were just like spending almost every day together. And from that point on, like every Gymkhana film was a super collaborative effort. Like we would lock ourselves into a room for, you know, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, order lunch in, whiteboard and internet connection and just look up inspiration and look up stuff. We got our location, we got our car. What are we going to do?
Wow.
And you make, you know, 16 ideas knowing that 9 of them are going to work for the film.
Yeah.
And then you make it happen. So one of my favorite ones was we were filming in Dubai. This one was super off the cuff. Dubai was so interesting because we were working with a couple guys that were like just a couple people under the crown prince of Dubai. And they're like, keys to the city, whatever you want to do.
Wow.
Whoa.
Anything. Any idea you have, no idea is too big. We're like, sick. All right, we're doing donuts on top of the Burj Al Arab on that helipad. We're going like, whatever, like doing all this stuff. But then we land on site and you start seeing like some of that communication is very gray. Like a lot of promise and some things get delivered huge and other things it's like day before filming, oh, sorry, we can't do that.
Whoa.
And we're like, okay. I know you guys like work in a completely different financial world, but for us, like you just shot down a shoot day that's probably like 150K of like people and effort and time and everything.
Whoa.
Actually, Dubai was probably even more. And we're like, so we don't have anything to shoot tomorrow. They're like, well, do you have any other ideas? And so
On the spot.
we're mid shoot. We're all out there in the Middle East in a hotel room being like, cool. So what do we do tomorrow now that this idea is not happening? The helipad donut wasn't going to happen. And I'm thinking like, okay, all right, Dubai, like we got to get access to something crazy. Like, what can we do? What can we do? And I remember seeing something about like an airplane graveyard out there that had like a bunch of like UN planes, like whatever. And I'm like, you guys, there's an airport with an airplane graveyard out here, right? They're like, oh yeah. Yeah, we actually just got a 747 recently. And I'm like, donuts under a moving 747 would be sick. They're like, we can make that happen now. Like, so 10, 15 hours later, we're at this remote airfield, barely any security to check in. A tug pulls up and dude, there's a 747 in front of me.
Cow.
And I'm like, bro, this is happening right now.
You said words and it just appeared. It happened.
Insanity. Absolute insanity. Wow. Like it messes you up for life because then you're like,
Everything
how else
after
can
that
I
is
do
just
this? Try
yeah.
to do that stuff later on, and it's not as easy, you know. But yeah, it was one of those things. Then we did it, and it was, you know, obviously my favorite part of the film. But you know, it kind of became like one of those iconic parts. But
Yeah.
you know, Ken was the guy that, you know, I must have thrown, you know, a million ideas out, and most of them were probably pretty trash.
Yeah.
But he knew which one would really work.
He's got great
his
instinct for
mastery
things,
was just like, yeah, a great instinct for
Yeah.
that. You know, like I don't want to come out here and say that I'm like, oh yeah, I came up with all these sick things. It's like I came up with a million things, and Ken knew exactly what to pick out
Yeah.
that would work.
Yeah.
That was magic.
Did he ever tell you that sucks? Like,
Bro, he would have no problem telling
Yeah.
you.
but you specifically, were you like really
yeah.
excited? And he was like, Ron, that fucking sucks.
Oh
dude."
yeah. Oh dude, I remember one, I don't even remember the full concept, but I like gave this like at a table like this, I gave this super like passionate creative, this thing I had in my head. I'm like, and then the car does this and you got a follow cam and a gimbal and all that. And Ken's like, cool. So a BMW commercial. And I'm like, whoa.
Damn.
All right.
Wow.
I guess so.
Wow.
It's like, anyway, so we're going to do this. And I'm like, you know, like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't sleep at night after something like that happens.
Yeah.
dude.
He'll
I'm
call
sitting
me.
myself
Yeah, he
with
would
this
call
thing,
me.
and he's just like,
I suck. You know, what am I even doing here? And dude, I mean, I would spend sometimes like, you know, 8 hours on an edit, work until 3 a.m, present it to him. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's just not working for me at all. Let's start from the beginning.
Wow. So you were working on the Gymkhana edits?
Not the editing itself. That was more so like our day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was going up on Instagram, on
Got it.
YouTube, on the vlog. But on Gymkhana, it was always kind of a hybrid of I shot stills like on the day when we were shooting for the longest time. That evolved into doing POV work. So I worked a lot with GoPros and GoPro as a company coming up at the time. A lot of really good people there. It was also like a very similar trajectory of like they were on fire.
Yeah.
And so I directed POV up until like Gymkhana 7 or 8, something like that. But marketing wise, like I said, from Gymkhana 3 forward, I always got to be in the room, like doing the plan of what's in the film. And then because I was doing the stills, Ken and I would work on the marketing plan. So Gymkhana, I mean, so much of it was marketing. It's like, yeah, the film itself is 20% of the entire formula. You know, like you got to make the car a hero. That starts months before.
Oh, right.
So then, okay, you spend all this time, you build up the car, you show, okay, the Hoonigan, for example, you know, like all of this hype and like build stories and everything. Okay, cool.
Right.
Now we're at a point where people are super hyped on this car. We've talked about it so much. Like, I need to see this thing in action.
Yeah.
All right, give him a little tease. Give him a little tease from testing. Boom, another 1 million views because everybody was so ready to see that car do its thing. Okay, now they heard it, they saw it, they make smoke. I need more. And then you start to lead up into the Gymkhana film. Film launches, then there's a long tail. Then there's every little story. There's the behind the scenes. There's how this one trick happened. There's, oh, well, we actually crashed on this part. There's how we got access to, you know, the Harbor Bridge and SF. Like, and Gymkhana really was like a 6-month marketing campaign for us. Always.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
All
really
the lead
cool,
up
yeah.
and then all that came after.
Everything.
Wow. I
All
never even
planned.
thought about that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was very, very orchestrated and planned from day one.
Yeah. My favorite is still, I mean, they're all fantastic, you know, but I guess the reason why the San Francisco one is my personal favorite one, believe it or not, that's the first one I ever saw.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of people, that was a lot of people's first, like, paying attention to this, like, crazy rally, dude.
Like, I had heard about it a little bit, but I'm not a rally guy.
Yep.
I've never worn DC shoes, so I got to be honest, I wasn't familiar with who Ken Block was.
For sure.
Then I started hearing the name and stuff. Especially the Hoonigan name, started seeing it out there a lot, and I was like, "The fuck's Hoonigan?" Like
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm old, dude, right? but I remember that wasn't that the San Francisco. Was that the 5th one?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I just could not believe like the midair setting up for the next turn.
Yeah.
You know, seeing the level of car control. I've driven plenty of those San Francisco streets. Those hills
how
are
steep that
gnarly.
is.
Yes.
It's deceptive. Like it's hard to show on camera.
Yeah. So that one struck me so much, and I just, it didn't even strike me because I wasn't creating content, so it didn't strike me from the content creation side.
Yep.
It was I've been a car guy my whole life, and I was marveling at the control this guy had in a car out on the barge, you know, where it's like, you fuck up, you're swimming.
Dude,
You're swimming.
He had oxygen in the car.
Wow,
Did he really?
Yeah,
dude?
Yeah. We always were, because we were like, and in that barge scene somewhere, I gotta find this. On that car, the WRC car,
Yeah.
the intake manifold, I'm going to get a little technical here. The intake manifold has a thing called a pop-off valve, which is if for whatever reason the car overboosts, this valve opens up at, let's say, 60 PSI to make sure that you don't grenade the engine, because those motors are like, 50, 60 grand, something like that. And so the pop-off valve, you overboost, it opens and it closes back. So we're out there, we're on the barge. Ken does the donuts and stops in the middle of them, and the engine's pegged. It's like, wah, 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 but it's standing still. And then you hear it go into neutral, and then you hear the car turn off. And we're like, yo, that was kind of sketchy. Like, what was that? And Ken's like, I don't know what happened, but the motor just went full throttle on me. And I'm sitting there on this barge, my foot in first gear. Literally, your left foot is the only thing between you and your $500,000 race car being in the water, and shut the car off because the pop-off valve got stuck.
Wow.
And the car was trying to still reach peak boost.
Oh my God.
And so the car is like, no, like you need to be full throttle. We're not at boost yet, whatever.
My God.
And I was like, dude, we almost lost the car.
That's
my
crazy.
That was
God.
crazy. Yeah, hairy moment.
I want to know how insurance worked on that whole process. Like, it had to have been so expensive
There were
and complicated.
people sweating.
Wow.
Yeah, the insurance part is very interesting because like you can't really insure a car for that. Like,
Yeah.
you crash it, it burns, whatever. You take the loss.
Yeah.
You take the L. That's
Yeah, yeah.
real risk involved.
Yeah.
But I do like that you bring up Gymkhana 5 and that kind of like that was another takeoff point for Ken and another lightning in the bottle moment, like we talked about, because the Gymkhanas leading up to that was like a slow evolution. The first two were a couple homies with like super basic cameras filming cool car stuff, skate video style.
Yeah.
Gymkhana 3, still kind of similar. Like we got a red camera out there, which was a big deal. And we're like, all right, this is cool. Foreign location, like first time it left the States. 4 was like, damn, we got access to Universal Studios. Like we got to do donuts and like slide through, treat it like a racetrack. That's cool. But 5 was the first time we worked with a Hollywood location scout. And the excitement that the entire team had around that was crazy, because we're like thinking small, we're like, all right, well, do we go to the docks and then do we go to this like warehouse parking lot? And the guy's like, yeah, you want the Harbor Bridge? And we're like,
Fuck.
like we drive on it? And he's like, yeah, we shut it down. Yeah, we could get a lock off for 5 minutes at a time. You have the entire upper part, because it's a double-decker bridge.
Right.
You get the not the Harbor Bridge, the Bay Bridge.
Yeah,
the Bay
yeah.
Bridge. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm in Australia, man. The Bay Bridge, and yeah, so you got the double deck, and they're like, yeah, we could shut down the top deck for you, and we're like, all right, cool. Intro starts there. Yeah, shut down bridge in the middle of SF, and then we're like, okay, well, what else we could do? And they're like, I don't know, you tell us. We could shut down any street you want.
Dude, that's
crazy.
so
Financial
awesome.
district? Yes, Sunday. Guess what? Nobody's working. You have the
Oh
whole
my
financial
God.
district to yourself. And we're like, whoa, okay. Everybody's got ideas firing off. And like,
Yeah, once
we
you're
went-
allowed to do that, you could just.
Who do you call to
it.
get all that set up though? Like, do you just call someone like from San Francisco and be
Well,
like,
you
hey, we
said
want
the
to do
Hollywood
this?
guy, right?
Yeah,
The scout.
yeah, location scout. You call
And he-
any
and he does
location
that.
scout, and you know some of them will charge you hefty, but for the access that you get,
Do you remember how much it was to shut that?
at that time I had no idea. I was still
Yeah.
I was still fully on the media side. I wasn't really dealing with budgets or anything, but I know it wasn't
That's a
super
huge
cheap.
cost, though.
But yeah, for sure, yeah. But at the time, like it was like, yeah, this guy's worth his weight in gold.
Yeah, sure.
Like, what do you mean we can jump this hill with Alcatraz in the background? Like we could just jump it. Like it's a
money
rally
shot,
stage.
yeah.
And they're like, yeah, dude, you just
How
shut down the
fun!
road
How
and do
fun
whatever.
from the creative side, where
Unreal.
the only limit now is your imagination. Can you imagine big enough? Because if you can, they'll make it happen.
It was like drugs.
Yeah,
Straight up. Yeah. I was like, okay. And then, it's funny because the Gymkhana after that, Gymkhana 6, is like a slightly less memorable one because that was at San Bernardino Airport. We made a Gymkhana grid course. That was the one with all the containers and the spiked ball. And it was like this kind
Sure.
of like, course that we made. That was never supposed to happen. Gymkhana 6 was supposed to be with the Hoonigan, the first video with the Hoonigan. But making that car was delayed. So we weren't able to film in that calendar year. And we had Gymkhana budget set aside to make one. So we're like, oh shit, we got to scramble. Like we got to make something. And it was cool. Like I actually really liked Gymkhana 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, then 7 was going back to that like wild in the streets. Like, okay, if we had that access in SF, what could we do in LA?
Yeah.
Let's get as much, 6th Street Bridge, like let's get the canals, let's
Yep.
get like everything.
Yep.
And so that's, the Hollywood sign, which was a crazy one.
Because they don't let anyone up there, man.
Dude, it was so, we had a whole brief on dudes very well armed being like, if you take a picture of that, I'm probably going to tackle you
Yeah.
and maybe tase you. And then you lose your camera and your phone.
Wait, take
Yeah.
a picture of what?
There's like communications equipment all on like where the Hollywood sign is. There's like really like, pretty high level like police and military comms
believe
up
it.
there.
Holy shit.
So they were like, yeah, if you point your camera that way, you're going to have a bad time. I'm like,
Whoa.
heard.
You got it. You got it.
I'm focused on the car,
Yeah.
but still having access to that, like being able to do donuts up there above the Hollywood sign.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
Which is, of course, my next favorite one. Part of it being just honestly the car itself.
Yeah.
That car you could have put fucking anywhere with Ken driving it like he could drive it.
Yeah.
The technology that went into, I've read a lot about it and I've certainly seen the car up close and personal, but boy, I can only imagine what it took to make that car work and take the level of beating it took.
Oh my God.
All-wheel drive, 1,200 horsepower?
At the beginning, it was 845 because
Okay.
it was naturally aspirated at first. It was just
Okay.
like a Roush Yates crate motor.
Yeah.
And then, Von Gittin Jr.'s team, RTR, they did all the chassis work, all the body work, metal, hand-formed metal on an English wheel, the original molds.
Wow.
Like
Beautiful.
the shapes that you see on there were
Beautiful.
all organic. And then, we did molds because you don't want to ruin the original one. But sure. That car, same thing. Keep it simple. Calling the Hoonigan simple is funny, but it is. Ken sat down with Vaughn and he was like, I want a 60s Mustang that handles like a rally car. Simple. That's all I want. And then what it takes to get there is very
Yes.
challenging.
Right.
But
But
conceptually.
yeah, and so they're like, okay, well, it's never going to get enough travel, so that's why you have inboard suspension, and okay, we got to put the front diff ahead of the engine, and we got to have a dual drive shaft set up, and they figured all that out. But
Yeah.
really, at the end of the day, it was a first-gen Mustang that handled like a rally car,
Yeah.
and that was magic.
Gosh. Yeah, that car still, when I look back on those videos, and I still go back and I'll watch them from time to time.
Yeah.
Love the one in London with that car. I think
Oh,
it's
that was a
hilarious.
fun one.
I mean,
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Matt
but the guy
LeBlanc.
yes.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
yeah,
hilarious in that.
Oh, dude,
video.
he's
so
a funny dude in real life too. Him and Ken really like they clicked. Yeah,
Did they?
A lot of that happened because of their friendship.
Yeah.
He's a real car nut and motorcycles.
Wasn't he in the Top Gear? Or he
was,
the
for like a very brief
yeah.
amount of time. He was part of, I think it was the UK Top Gear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he was filming a show in the UK called Neighbours. And so he also got the Top Gear job. And it was this dude, Chris Evans, not like the famous Chris Evans.
right.
It was like a different British Chris Evans. That was super short lived, but that was a really fun one. Dude, we had a Chinook.
I mean, I figured he had to be into cars. You see him sitting in the passenger seat. I'm sorry, dude, but like I sit in passenger seats a lot.
I see it.
I don't know how good I could do it holding up a map and going, wait, I think Big Ben's right there. You know, like, I mean.
So calmly.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean.
Being around a real actor, talking about acting, mind blowing.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
he goes from super chill, like we're sitting here right now, to on it. The second they hit the red
Right.
button,
in character, yeah.
completely different dude.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yo, how do you do that? That's sick.
Yeah.
Cool ass dude though. Really cool dude.
How fun, man. What a wild ride you've had. It's when we were with you before, Ron, when we shot your car, you know, we got some of this stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of here and there.
But while we're sitting here talking about it, and I'm like, you know, I'm picturing it. I'm picturing you guys sitting in a room and throwing out ideas, and Ken killing a bunch of them, and just kind of picturing it all. Like what an incredible. Not to mention, like you mentioned, that you became super close friends with him. Sorry about the loss, obviously. I mean, I'm sure it hurt everybody. Like I can't imagine, honestly. You know.
Yeah.
But just the joy of getting to do something you love so much with other people that love it just that much, and it's not a fucked up corporate structure that kills that level of creativity, but it actually like it allows it to thrive and you know, like how cool, dude.
I never take it for granted.
Yeah.
Like I know now, like that was a 1 in a 10 million situation, you know, like being that close with that level of human and being able to do the stuff we did.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I was getting paid to make car content on the internet. Like, man, there's not much better that you can do in life. You know,
That's
like
how we feel now.
it's incredible, man.
I
Like,
tell him, I'm like, dude, when we're like 50, 60 years old, we're going to look back at our 20s and be like, dang, that's what we were doing.
We had fun.
100%, man. Like you guys are tapped into the culture. You got all the different, like all different flavors of car, all different people that you get to meet. Like, dude, it's sick.
It is. Yeah.
It's
so
amazing.
I never take it for granted.
Yeah,
it's been a ride.
Now, we don't either. I noticed with this team, you know, we've had different versions of the team along the way. Other than Chris and I, you know, we started this thing, which is hilarious to think the two old guys are the ones that actually started this whole fucking thing.
Wisdom.
But you know, like now the four of us guys together, we do travel shoots. We're together for breakfast. We shoot all day, lunch, dinner, hotels. We're together the whole time. At the end of a travel trip, the next morning, we're texting each other. I miss you, bro. What's going on? What are you doing?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
It's that kind of when you have a great, and I'll bring it right back to the music world again. Is it's like when you have a great band where you guys really work well together. It's a fucking best. You don't get tired of each other. You might have a moment here or there where you're like, hey, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And then that moment's gone and you're back to like everybody's grooving and having fun, you know?
I remember one of the times
special, man.
We just got done with like a 2-week like straight run, and Kyle and I were out and about with some friends, and so they're talking whatever, and Kyle and I are sitting across from each other, and then he's like, we had nothing to talk about at all because we'd just been with them for 2 weeks straight, 8 hours, like all the time. It was just boring in a sense.
Yeah.
But it was like, I'm with you all the time, and here we are outside of everything.
Yeah.
Still hanging out.
It's great, man.
What are you doing for lunch?
Yeah, totally.
That's the best, man. Like, having a crew like that. That's why it's so organic, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like if we're bringing it back to like automotive media in the world today, I think we're actually like right now we're in a really interesting place where you brought up Top Gear, and then you have Hoonigan and Donut is like, we're out of the era of people following the big name, right? The big brand, the one brand that's the king. And there's like, there's the people involved with it. I think now more than ever, people just want to connect with people. Like you want a human connection.
Especially because of AI too.
100%.
Yep.
100%. And you want to trust that, like, I know that dude.
Yeah.
I know that dude's face is not AI. Like I know that what he's doing is what he's been doing, and that's real. And I think you see now, like that's what's happening everywhere. You see the donut guys, Pumphrey, you had him on the show. Like he went and did speed with some of his crew. And then you got the big time guys. You got Zach, you got Vinny, you got Scotto, you got all these people breaking out into their own individual thing. And I think the world we're at now is like, it's a people connection. It's not as much a brand connection.
Yeah,
totally agree.
I agree with you. And I think it's fun to watch all these people that I've watched through the years now doing their own thing.
Yep.
Getting to know Zach a little bit, shooting with him a couple of times. He's great. Dude, Zach's cool as fuck. He's kind of you can tell he's spectrumish, man. He's
for sure, dude.
He's an intense dude, you know, really fun
stuff,
super fun. Turns it on in a quick second, man. That friggin' smile he does and stuff. Same with Pumphrey when we shot with him, just like there's the hanging out part, and then there's as soon as the camera goes, boom, on. Fucking on all the way, you know, and but it's fun watching these guys break away and do their own thing and have a different flavor of what maybe they've once done before. But now it's like, now it totally falls on them. Yeah. You know, it's not it's just a different vibe. It's fun to watch it happen.
Absolutely agree.
So speaking of which, what are you, and I've got, unfortunately, I've got about 5 minutes left, and then I personally have to run because if any of you guys have noticed the swelling in my cheek here, I get a dentist appointment at 2 o'clock.
Brawling after hours.
Yeah. But so post Hoonigan, what is your life now?
I do. I
know it's a broad spectrum question, Ron.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
You know,
so at Hoonigan and with the Ken stuff and everything, like I was always a lot more of a behind the scenes type of guy. You know, like especially in the later years of Hoonigan, I was handling product marketing, product design and creation. You know, the marketing strategy I would always do with Ken. So immediately afterwards, I just went into doing that with my friends and companies that I really enjoyed working with and everybody. So I started a consulting firm brand thing without even having a website because it was just, I went through my Rolodex of like, and saying it out loud. I'm like, God, like what a blessing. But I'm like, who do I want to work with? And my first call was Lucy Block, you know, Ken's wife. I knew Leah was starting her program with the Formula One Academy. Yeah. And, you know, they just didn't have that media guidance anymore. So they were my very first client. And I did a bunch of stuff with Hyundai. I got to race Pikes Peak. I got to race in touring cars in SRO. I got a podium at Indianapolis.
Rad.
A Pikes Peak record. And then started going back to my rally roots. You know, I got a rally car and started doing some rally stuff.
Nice.
So consulting with a bunch of brands and people, marketing, branding, all that type of stuff. And I really, really, really want to give back to the rally world because that's what gave me so much. So I want to start my own rally brand called Anti-Lag. It's an interesting thing to me because everybody recognizes a Subaru, an Evo, whatever. You see it on gravel. You're like, yeah, I know what that is. I know it's a rally car. But the people behind it, the stories behind it, the technology behind it, there's so much in that world that's incredible and fascinating and hilarious. I want to share that with people. I want to bring it to the world. I want to bring the now much more car educated audience into the rally world and show them what that's all about.
Nice.
Which is a really cool one because I got to tell you, that's the most unknown foreign world that exists in motorsports, I would have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a pretty deep into the car world guy. You know, I know a lot about IMSA, sports car racing, even Formula One. God bless Netflix, what they did in recent years.
Yep.
You know, taking us inside of Formula One. Like as an average car guy, you can know a lot about a lot of the forms of racing.
Absolutely.
Rally at best, you see little clips of some dude that's ballsy enough to stand next to a car that goes whizzing by his head.
That's right.
And you kind of don't get much more than that.
No, and it's a shame because the stories behind it are unbelievable. Like there's single photos that have an entire crazy story behind them. There's a shot of a helicopter with a transmission above an Audi Quattro Group B car in the middle of Africa because this dude's doing safari rally and his transmission's out. And back then the budgets were like, yeah, bro, send a helicopter, tether the transmission to it, fly it in, boom, trans out. 3 dudes do it in the sand, in the heat, whatever, car continues.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
you got
insane.
cars breaking down in the middle of the woods. Illegal service. Some homeboy shows up with a tie rod. is like, you didn't see me. It gives them a tie rod. They fix it. They keep going. You know, like there's amazing, and the cars, like, you know, it's like it's like if F1 engineers had their way with a rental car. That's what a rally car is to me, right? Because it's like a Ford Focus. Oh, cool. No, it's got active suspension and anti-lag, and it's got the torque curve of a V8, you know, but it weighs 2,700 pounds.
Yeah.
There's so much cool stuff there that I just like, I want to get it out. I want to show everybody.
That's cool.
So that's what, so anti-lag is
just me, just solo.
but like, so doing video, YouTube, all the social media stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Just starting out slow, starting out with Instagram, a little bit of, you know, short form content here and there, and then evolving it, like seeing what the appetite is, seeing, you know, what people want to hear about it, what stories work, what don't. And then eventually, I would love to. I mean, there's guys, you know, that have the legendary Group B cars. There's guys that still take them out and rip those things on the street, on stages. There's guys in Ireland in the middle of nowhere in a farm shed. Like, you're going through and you're like, what even happens out here? It's just a bunch of sheep and sheds. And then you open up a door, RS200, Group B Quattro, like the Carlos Sainz Celica. And then they go out on the weekend to go to a restaurant and they're ripping these old school cars on Irish rally roads in the rain, full sideways.
Dude, that's awesome.
Crazy dudes.
That's
like,
sick.
I want to go. I want to show that to people.
Very cool. Dude, I love that you're doing that. I'll make sure today to like, so right now, Instagram only is where
I haven't
anti-lag
even
lives.
started. Yeah, I got a logo.
So none of it's public
yet. I mean, ish. Yeah. I'm winding down some of the consulting stuff.
Okay.
Because I had a really big end of year. We did a bunch of things, some cool stuff with Rockstar Energy, Toyota. We made a rally car with Honda Racing. Had a bunch of things at SEMA. Leah still has a bunch of things going on.
Yeah.
I helped launch, you know, the Pastrana Gymkhana video. So now that we're in the new year, I could start focusing on my stuff.
Got it. Okay.
I like the name and the logo, how it all looks.
Thank you.
I saw
I
the
appreciate
stickers
that.
on the car too. It's cool.
Yeah, and anti-lag to me, that's the coolest thing on a rally car.
Can you show your logo a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you pulled up, we just got to bullshitting right away. But when you pulled up, I meant to ask because I saw it on your car.
Yeah.
And it's a company I hadn't heard of. So I was about to go, is there something I need to know? What's this anti-lag?
Yeah.
No,
That's
it looks
perfect segue. And on the back is a little homage to The Sopranos, the Bada Bing strip club.
I gotta see that, dude. I gotta see the back.
All you gotta say is Sopranos and Kyle's
That's the
there.
funnest thing about a brand is you can bring in, you know, hold on.
Oh, shit. Come on.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang, baby. Yeah, that's it.
Well, dude, I got a jet. Like I said, I got to get off to the dentist here. I got to go get
That was a
God
great
knows
podcast,
what.
though.
But that was awesome.
No, dude, that was a great time. Thanks
You're
for having
such
me.
an interesting dude, bro. And I
appreciate that.
But I want you to know, I personally, I mean, I know the guys feel the same way, but given the scope of things that you've done, that you'll come here and do this with us where our podcast is brand new. We're not getting a ton of viewership and you don't give a shit. Here you are taking time out. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you doing that, bro.
Man.
I genuinely do, man.
Yeah. It's a great vibe. You guys have a good thing going here. Had a lot of fun last time. So why not? Like at the end of the day, I just like doing car stuff and talking about car stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Rad.
it.
Well,
Sweet.
thank you, brother.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you,
man.
guys.
Thanks for watching, you guys.
Hell yeah. Sweet.
Awesome.